Okay. So
Mhm.
recorded a whole episode and another technical issue. And here we are. Anyways, babe,
Mm.
I'm really interested in what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the way you were saying it too. I was really enjoying that.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, I was saying that, when I was trying to force or control or try to get you to understand me, um, earlier in our relationship. And you asked me what changed. And I was going through all the different things. And, yeah, I think it's not our job, responsibility, mission, purpose, use of our time, et cetera, to try and get people to understand us. It's an alignment for us to be clear, right? You want to be clear in communicating. You want to be as direct as possible, as specific as possible, as clear as possible, actually saying what you mean and not um in riddles or too ashamed to be clear, so you're like kind of dancing around it. It's our work to be clear and to communicate from ourselves, but it's not our work to then work to get someone to get us. And I guess it's hard when we really want someone to, or when it's our spouse or someone we love or someone or our parent, right? It might be easier to be like, all right, people don't get me. Like, okay, not everyone's going to understand me. Not everyone's going to be into me, and not everybody's cup of tea, whatever it is, even though that's hard to accept too. But it's harder when it's your husband. It's hard to be like, all right, my work is to be me. And if he doesn't get me, respect me, love me, see me, desire me, treasure me, whatever it is, like that's hard and it's painful and devastating. And I don't exactly know what to do with it, but it doesn't translate but I just need to get him to get me. I just need to get him to like me. I just need to get him to love me. I just need to see my goodness. I just need to get him to see my heart. Like that, as soon as you start going into that territory where it's like, I just need to get him to, it's just not your place. And it's exhausting. It's just exhausting. Like when we were talking about it before we realized it wasn't recording.
Mm.
I was actually like, I was thinking about it, and I don't think I've really processed it so much or like grieved or held space for that version of me. And I was thinking how I deal with a lot of exhaustion and like just on a daily basis and fatigue. And I was literally thinking like, I feel that. I feel like as I was saying it, I'm like, of course I'm exhausted. Like I still haven't recovered from the level of work that I did just to try to like control my environment or control other people instead of just being myself, and how like deeply, deeply exhausting that was. Like from just on such a core level. And I was starting to say how like 1 out of 10 times it would like be successful and it would feel so good. I'd be like, "Oh my god, you see me?" And it would end like crying in your arms and hugging, and like it would just be like resolved, and I would feel like so relieved that like I got to you and I showed you, and it worked. And that would only like fuel all the other times. I'm like, "Oh no, but it's possible." But then 9 out of 10 times, it ended up with me just like crying hysterically and feeling like the utmost despair of like, what is our relationship? How in the world could you be like talking to me that way? Don't you see? Don't you see my pain? How could you be this cold? How could you be this distant? How could this be happening? And just like crying from like the essence of my soul, like just despair. And that's after like, it's 2 a.m, 3 a.m, after hours of like this dance of conversation where I'm like trying to say the right things, do the right things, morph myself into whatever version you need me to be to understand me, and like just, and then when it would go well and it like clicked, when it clicked for you and you'd be like, oh my God, I see you. Oh my God, you're right. Like I am hurting you. I would be like, oh my God, like, thank you. And I'd be like, this is the man that I love. This is the man that I married. I knew you were in there. Like, it would be like so amazing, but like, oh my God, so exhausting.
It's exhausting going to sleep at 2:30 every night from tears. Closing my eyes as you were talking. Putting myself back into our room at 359 Troy. Our bedroom in the back there, and like trying to feel into. Like we're in such a vastly different place. It's like hard to tap into the fullness.
I see it on the couch a lot, though. I feel like it was more in the couch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The scene that I'm
living room.
picturing is more in the bedroom with the tears, where I'm like, okay, Mushky, I'm going to sleep. Like it would come to a point where I was like, from my perspective, then like you were just spiraling, and there was like nothing that I could say or do that would bring any resolution to it or help you to regulate. And yeah, it was really hard. It was really, really frustrating. Like having the best intentions to really want to understand and get it, and then to just not be getting it. And the more you try to get it and the more you're not getting it, the more, well, I'll just say the more I was trying to get it and the more I was not getting it, the more you were escalating.
I was going to say hysterical.
Yeah. And escalating and just trying harder and harder. And it's like, it's not like I was saying, fuck you. Like, I don't care about you. Like, you just, I was like, what's going on? And you would try to explain it to me and try to like get me to see and try to get me to understand. And I couldn't. And to want to, but not be able to, and then to see what that was doing to you. And it just came to a certain point where it's like, okay, like I don't think I have any power here. I don't feel like I have any sway or there's any influence. And not only that, but with every single additional word or engagement, like the more I would engage, the worse things would get. And in my head, the worst thing to do is to just not engage. Obviously, at a certain point, like that's what it came to. It was like, okay, but in my orientation was, what you needed was me to stay in it with you, like continue to engage. But I didn't really know how to engage. So I was doing what I thought, what I was doing my best, which was just stay engaged, like just keep on trying. But the more I tried, the more hurt you seemed to be. And that is just like, wow. For me, for a man to like be trying, it's basically like being impotent. It's literally like being impotent. Like I cannot penetrate. I cannot bring this to fruition. I cannot take this to where I want it to go. I have no sway, no power, no influence. And that's extremely, extremely difficult for a man who wants to have influence, right? If I didn't care, I'd just be like, forget it. Like you're crazy and I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And seriously, don't talk to me. Like go sleep in another room or I'll go sleep in another room. I'm not here for any of this, It did come to that once or twice where you slept on the couch.
Really?
I think so.
Mm.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Or maybe you didn't spend the whole night there, but where you left the room and then I went to sleep,
Right.
where I was like, I'm going to sleep. Like, Mushky, we're going to have to talk about this another time. I am no longer, I probably didn't say it in these words. Like I might say it today, but I'm like, I'm no longer available for this conversation.
I know how you would say it.
Yeah, tell me. But speaking to the mic.
It really bothered me.
What would I say?
You would say, you're clearly unable to have this conversation now. Every time. And I'd be like, I'm clearly, you're clearly. Like, you'd be like, I'm really ready, willing, and able. You'd be like, you're clearly way too whatever you would say, you'd always say, you're clearly. And so I'm going to sleep. And I would get so mad because I was just like, don't tell me what I am.
Yeah.
You're like, and you'd be like, you're clearly incapable of having this conversation. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you like? Don't just like, I'm here. I'm capable of having the conversation. Why are you telling me I'm incapable? Then I was like, oh my god, like you're putting words in my mouth, and I would just get so escalated from that. I would just get so mad.
Yeah. Well, what I was experiencing in those engagements,
but you were so calm. You're like, Mushky, you're clearly.
Oh yeah, I would always stay super calm.
You're clearly unable to have this conversation, and I was just so trigger me.
And the more calm I would be, the more you would escalate, which makes total sense to me today. Totally get it and understand it. But at the time, I was like, what is going on? The more escalated you would become, the more calm I would become. And the more calm and collected, quote unquote, I would become, the more livid you would get. Because you were trying to reach me. You were trying to like bring my heart into the conversation. And the more you tried to get to my heart, the more I reserved my heart, the more I like hid my heart. This wasn't a conscious process, obviously. To what you're saying, I was experiencing you in those moments as telling me, you don't know how to have a conversation. You can't have the conversation. You weren't saying clearly you can't have the conversation because you weren't even that collected.
I was so overwhelmed. I'm like, why can't you? Why aren't you under?
Yeah, but every tone, look, expression, volume, cadence, rhythm of the way that you were speaking was signaling to me like, are you so stupid? Like, it didn't really come off with this, but like, it's like, I'm saying something and it's so clear to me. And if you could just get me, like, it's not difficult, Sadia. Like, so basically, but it was difficult for me. So I was just feeling shame. And when I'm feeling shame, I'm obviously going to be in the highest level of protection mode that's possible. And I didn't see it then. I don't think I could have seen it then. But I think that was underlying so much of our dynamic is that I had a certain expectation of myself of the way that I would be able to show up as a husband. And from very early on in our marriage, I was experiencing me as definitively not that way. So immediately at baseline, before I even opened my mouth and before you ever even opened your mouth, or maybe after you opened your mouth, or gave me a look, but before I opened my mouth, I was already feeling like deep shame. So already operating at baseline with deep, deep shame, but I wasn't aware of it. And so by the time I did open my mouth, it was with total and absolute, at the least self-protection and at worst, like offensiveness.
Right. I mean, there's so much. There's your own stuff, like you're saying, and then there's also the stuff you felt about me that you would never say, meaning the avoidance of conflict. So the resentments you had towards me or the irritations or the frustrations that you would never bring up voluntarily. And then I would come to you with something, I cannot remember like a specific example, although it would be so nice. But if I would come to you with something.
Too bad we didn't start our podcast then.
I might have some like notes somewhere. I come to you with something that.
She pulls that out mid conversation. Oh, I may have some notes.
No, I would
somewhere.
like write. I would write
3
things
seconds
down
later, she has it in her notes in her iPhone, holding it out right now.
But.
Oh, baby, I got notes too. Okay.
I would.
What about your actual recordings? How about that? Huh?
That too. I would bring you something that's something that happened that I was like hurt by. Like, this is something that happened with somebody else that I was like hurt by. I'm like, this person said this to me and I'm like hurting. And you would be looking at from the lens of, first of all, of like truth, like your lens of like truth and MS and like, well, what really happened here, instead of like your wife's in front of you in pain. And you'd also be like, well, yeah, I'm kind of irritated by that with you too. But you wouldn't say that directly. You would kind of use it as an in your response. It would come through where like, instead I was coming to you, very alone, not really having anyone in this world, not having parents that I could talk to, not really feeling like you were like my comfort, you were my person. And yet there was so much distance and misunderstanding of just each other. Or misconnection or whatever it is. And so I would come to you like already just like hurting, alone, feeling like I need comfort, I need love, I need a father, and I would come to you with my pain and you would either analyze it, kind of judge me for it, because you were like, "Yeah, well, you're awkward, and that was probably awkward what you did," or whatever it is, and I would just be like I would try instead of being like, "All right, like, you can't hold me, like, I'm gonna have to go, like, hold myself," or, like, find a friend or get a therapist or whatever it is, just be like, "All right, like, I brought you my pain, like, clearly you can't." I was like, "You need to. I need you to. I need this man in front of me to hold me. I need him to hold my pain." So I would just work for hours to be like, "No, no, no, but really, but I'm a good person, and here's I'm a good person, here's what really happened." And we would just be, like, circling and me just trying to get you to, like, see what was underneath, what was really going on. I mean, this is just, like, some random example, but, like, there were so many dynamics.
What's a random example? I didn't hear a specific example.
I'm saying if I came to you with, like, something that happened with somebody that hurt
Yeah,
me,
I
you
know.
know?
My mind went to specific examples. As I was
Yeah.
smiling before,
Oh, yeah.
immediately a
I know.
specific scene played out
What
on Albany Avenue.
what was it? I mean, shit.
There was some situation where we walked up, and then she like immediately started talking to me, but didn't look at you, and you got really upset, and I remember just like totally taking an objective view, and also like realizing like the same like you don't give off warmth. That's the way I was experiencing it. Like no one's going to make eye contact and engage with the person who's not going to give them feedback, who's not going to absorb them, who's going to have like a stone cold face when you talk to them. So when when you would experience, it's exactly what you're saying. Basically, when you would experience one element of what you're saying is
Mhm.
when you would experience pain with somebody else.
Or and shame, right? Bring you back to the shame. I was feeling shame about what happened or whatever.
Yeah, you were experiencing shame or pain about the way that somebody was treating you. If the way that person was treating you was related to something that I myself was resentful about the way that you treated me, or resentful that you had that quality and that I married you, then I would use it again, obviously not consciously, but I would basically use that opportunity to be like, mm-hmm, you see, it's not just me.
Mhm.
This is objective. People see you this way. Like you don't see how people are seeing you. You're complaining that this person's not showing you love or affection or not like reaching out to you. They're only reaching out to me or whatever it is. It's like, yeah, because people don't get the sense that you're available for that connection. And with me, they do. So that they feel it and they come to me. So if you and I are both stepping into a room and there's a person there. If they have no prior relationship with you or they've never really felt that sort of affinity or connection with you, they're going to automatically gravitate toward me and they're going to be showing me more of themselves because they feel more comfortable. So I was that just I'm using an example. It's not a random example. It's first of all, it's
Mhm.
immediately what came to my mind. It's
It's so
amazing. The
funny. It's a
second you said it,
such a I barely remember
immediately
that.
she came to mind, and this person that we're not naming came to mind, and um, I remember it was like a very very specific incident, and it became. I mean, there were so many. Oh my god, there were so many of these almost identical situations that played out throughout our marriage. But yeah, I would just like on some level, I was like, yeah, I would as though speak from the objective, but it wasn't objective at all. It was my own pain and basically piggybacking on their reaction or interaction with you, and you're reacting to that interaction by basically it was like I was finding hope in those scenarios where it's like maybe now you'd be able to see what I'm seeing and experiencing with you. Because when I shared with you that I felt like you weren't being warm or you weren't being affectionate or you weren't being responsive, even really to things that I said, whether it was a compliment or an invitation or whatever it is, you would, well, lots of different things, but you wouldn't react positively to it, right? It was like I became wrong in those situations. Now, I know I didn't go about it in the right way for sure. And it was like kind of like I decided who you are, right? I decided who you are because I married you. So I knew who you were and you're not who I decided you were. So now I'm upset at you. It's like, why the fuck did you marry me?
I don't even know that you ever did that, though. I don't know that you ever sat me down, and, you know,
Okay, daddy.
and, had that conversation with me. I pretty much recall that it was usually in response to something that I said. Whereas, not that I would have been able to handle it or whatever, my point is like, if only you would have come proactively, it would, but I know that happens now in our relationship where if you'll initiate something in a conversation, you'll be like, hey, this is really bothering me. It's very hard for me. It's very hard for me. And you sit down and talk to me and tell me like, this is really bothering me. It's painful. It brings up shame. It's scary. It's all this stuff. But it's also such a gift. Like, it's such a gift, and, like, in the moment, I might be, like, panicking, freaking out, protectors are coming in to tell you why it's not really true or, you know and even that, like, I usually is only for, like, a minute or whatever, but then, like, the next day or whenever, I'm like, "Wow, like, thank you so much for just, like, being direct, for coming to me and telling me what is in your heart." First of all, I feel love. I actually feel love and care when you do that because I feel like you care and love me enough and you're not afraid of me. It's like such a safe feeling to be like, wow, my husband's not afraid to bring me his pain. Like, oh my God, so safe. Like, I feel so safe because it's like, you're not afraid of me. No wife wants to feel like her husband's afraid of her, even if she kind of on some level wants that control out of fear on a deep level, that doesn't feel safe. If you know your husband's afraid of you, it's like a very, very unsafe dynamic. So when I afterwards, I'm like, wow, like thank you. And also like now I could actually do something about it. Or it could be on my consciousness. And yeah, maybe I don't think I could change it today or tomorrow and it's not on the top of my list, but like it's in my awareness now and it came to me cleanly and directly. And it's just like it's such a gift for the relationship, no matter how painful it is. But in the beginning of our relationship, you never did that. I don't know that I ever did that with you necessarily in the utmost way, but you definitely didn't do it with me. And it was mostly in actually in response to what we're talking about, like either in real time in this situation, being like, well, yeah, like because you are that way. Um, or just a sense, meaning like with a comment or a look or just like you were telling me all of the time. In fact, because you never sat down with me, you were telling me in every interaction. There was always a flavor of it because not only were you bothered by the things I was doing, you were like you felt like you could never tell me, which was like bothering you even more, which was just like the whole air and energy in the relationship was just like it was so cloudy. So, so yeah, and then but I still, like, came to was, like, whether, like, it was I mean, like, what even is someone feeling pain, you know? Like, is it only justified if, like, they are never they have no they didn't cause it in any way or they're undeserving of it in any way, or it's not because of the way that they are, you know? Um, like, if someone's a certain way and they interact with the world and they experience pain because of the way that they are, you know, that's still pain. You can still come to your spouse, be like, "I'm in pain because something that happened." You're like, "Well, yeah, but that's just the way you are." Okay, what does that have to do with anything? I'm coming with you with my
Mm.
pain. I'm telling you that I'm hurting. I'm not telling you that, okay, maybe I wasn't doing it like, yeah, there's twofold. There's like how you reacted to me, but I was not comfortable with my pain as well. So I wasn't bringing it to you in a clean way either. Meaning I wasn't
Right.
coming to you saying, "I'm in pain." I'd be like, "Can
Yeah.
you believe what that bitch did?"
Right.
And so it's like
Or even
yeah,
worse, I felt it was not
or
even
like
what
what you did, like, "How come you didn't stick up for me?"
no, or how come you're so lovable?
okay.
That I
I
would get.
definitely didn't say that.
You didn't say that, but that would
Exactly.
come through a
Right.
lot. It was like I was being penalized for being affable. Like, sometimes it was more direct, and sometimes it was more like that was actually what was going on, but even in instances where it wasn't that overt and direct, there was a subtext of that, of like, "Why do you gotta be so outgoing? Why do you have to be so engaged and engaging?" You know? And that's when things got really, really difficult. Like, if you weren't as outgoing as me, I knew you weren't, and I was actually really attracted to that. People tried to set me up with girls that were really, like, outgoing. I'm like, "You don't get it." Like, I am extremely at least the way I thought of myself at the time, right? Like, I'm extremely extroverted. And, like, in actuality, I was quite extroverted.
Mhm.
And I wasn't attracted to girls who were extroverted. Like, don't. I wanna be at the center of attention. I don't want you to take up the stage, you know?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
wasn't that you weren't outgoing, but it seemed like you were being triggered or wounded by this energy field around me in which people were attracted to me and engaging with me. And it was like there was like a very stark contrast. And then you would feel left out. This like you're saying, this earlier wound, right? But you're still wounded. But it's like it's one thing if your wound, like you're saying, was clean and clear and you were just owning it and saying, like, by the way, Sadi, when we go into a room, it's like really, really hard for me because I feel invisible.
Mhm.
People really, really aren't seeing me. And it makes it even harder because like they're really it's not just like they don't see me and like they're looking over my head. They're looking a foot away from my head at you while basically totally ignoring my presence. It really hurts. Now, I know that I was also hurt by what I felt they were saying, so I probably still would have used it, right? But just speaking from your perspective, that would have just been a lot more of like a clean and more direct way to hold it. And I love that you're able to say that. Just like,
Yeah, and I don't think you would have been able to hear it cleanly, even if I would have said it cleanly, because you would have heard it through your filter. Um, because
y-
both of us were carrying our stories so strong. But
100%. But this is like another layer
true,
where you were weaponizing it. It wasn't
totally.
about your pain. I was
Yeah.
wrong for walking
Well,
into a room like people like I actually walking into a room believing that people actually wanted me to be there.
yeah, but
Because I
I
would walk into a room
yeah.
with that full bodied presence and you would be kind of hiding in my shadow.
So there's a couple of things. There's one of my own insecurity. There's the contrast between us, which only highlighted it. And there's, so just for that, like I'm w- way less comfortable in new social situations than you are, to say the least. Obviously, things have shifted for both of us in our growth. I mean, not with your comfort necessarily, but just in the way that we interact socially and with the world. But and for me, for sure, with my comfort level. And um, it's one thing if I have a partner who's similar-ish to me. We could both be awkward together or stick to each other, but we would go places and you would like be like the belle of the ball, right? You would just be like you would be the center of attention, and it would like I couldn't match your energy, and I just felt this total contrast, and I was like even more alone because I wasn't with you anymore. You were like swept up in conversation and all these things, and I was like alone. And I felt like baggage also because you were like bothered by my lack of ability to do that. So it only made me feel more insecure. And then I felt also abandoned by you because you weren't staying with me. So it wasn't just that like we're different. It's like you would come places and you would almost like shake me off, like not want to be bothered because you were already bothered by me. And I felt that. So it wasn't like, okay, I was insecure in new situations, which I am baseline, even if I don't wanna say I am now currently because I actually don't think I am. Um, and it took a while to actually update that story.
Mm,
So I'm actually not anymore, which is amazing. But I was for a very, very, very long time. And um, instead of just like having a loving relationships where we could talk about things and we could bring things out to the on the table, which is what we do now with anything or something that's coming up or whatever that one of us might be nervous about. Instead of saying like, "Hey, we're about to go to this wedding," it's hard for me because I'm gonna be seeing like all of my friends or all of my family, and I feel like when I go places with you, I'm speaking for you now, you like want me to stick with you the whole time, and you're very uncomfortable. But like then I feel kind of resentful that I can't, like how can we support each other? What can we do? Is it that like every 10 minutes I check in on you? Is it that maybe I go by myself to the wedding? Is it that what can we do that could support us both in our relationship, right? Instead of having conversations, which then it's like, okay, now we know what we're doing, And sometimes I would go places with you, obviously, much later in the relationship, I'd be like, Sadia, like I'm feeling really insecure tonight. Can you please stay by my side? Like for the beginning, like I really feel like I need you by my side. Like I wouldn't say that to you either. Like we didn't have the language and the communication or the safety or
mm.
the tools and the foundation for any of this. So we were just like winging it all the time and like failing all of the time, like we weren't, nobody told, we just didn't have the tools or the self energy enough or the we were just like, we were so lost. So fundamentally, it wasn't like, oh, I'm more socially awkward or uncomfortable and you're more extroverted, which is, yeah, like it's not the easiest match. But we just there was no real communication about it whatsoever. You could never really call it out. I could never really call it out unless I was like mad at you. You know, it was like just this floated thing. And so we would go out, there would be a dynamic. I would feel essentially what I would feel is neglected by you, unloved, which is like the core wound, you know, and then I might say something like, "Oh, this person was ignoring me and only talking to you," but, like, I don't really care about that person, you know? Like, meaning obviously that was what was coming out. What I was feeling is like, I don't feel like you got me. Like, I feel abandoned by you. I feel unloved by you know? And but then I was just saying it about this person, which you know, was partially there was a real thing that happened, and then we would just get technical. It was like we were just like 2 lawyers, like, arguing a case instead of 2 people who are married speaking to each other's hearts. You know, we're just like arguing. No, but here's why I'm right. No, but here's what I'm right. Here's why I'm right. Like that's not the point at all. You know, because there's no right or wrong. It's like we're married. You know, so let's love each other. Let's listen to each other. Let's work together. You know, let's just be honest. It's okay. It's okay that you might need to go places alone and not feel burdened by my um shyness, discomfort, introvertedness, whatever we wanna call it, you know? Awkwardness. It's okay. It's okay for you to get married and still need whatever you need to be you, and it's okay for me to say what I need, you know? But I don't think we knew that. I think you know, you felt like you had to be there for me all the time, so if I was complaining, it was like, "How can we survive this?" You know? I don't know what I thought. Think I also thought you had to be there for me all the time, saying like I was, you know? Um, yeah, I thought you had to be there for me all the time, but I still think that, meaning like I think it's more I mean, we're talking about so many things today. It's a little all over the place, but like it's more on the masculine, like to be more clear and boundaried and setting containers. Yeah. I want you to be there for me all the time. Literally, I want you to make me breakfast and take care of the kids and then deliver me lunch and call me to check in on me all of the time and never go out with your friends. And I want you to be there for me all the time. I do. I still do. And you don't. And you still go out. And I'm so happy you do because if you were to actually be there for me all the time, I'd probably be nauseated by you. But so that's where like the dynamics come into play of a guy being like, yeah, my wife wants me to be there for me all the time. But what she really wants she doesn't know she wants. And what I really want is like a man who's clear.
Mm. Listen to you talk all night, babe.
Mm,
You make so much sense.
yeah. I feel like tonight's been so choppy with like all the starts and stops, and even what I'm saying is a little all over the place. But I'll take it. Thank you.
Yeah, babe. That's the beauty of a marriage, right? And of us being able to talk is that like we can be all over the place. It's it's I think what you're saying, you know, it's like, but we're married. We're married. Like if I can't be like my full self here, right? If I can't have a process, if I have to present to you always as polished and as finished, you didn't say this explicitly, but implied in what you're saying is
Hmm.
like, then what's the point of marriage? Right? This should be the one person, the one place in the entire world where I'm held and seen and protected and witnessed and cared for, right? We leave our parents, we leave our families of origin, and we cleave to our spouse, to our intimate partner. And that is the benefit. What we're doing, like this unit, this institution of marriage is a place where you can find true companionship, true comfort in each other. And so when it becomes the opposite, which so many marriages are, and our marriage was also in large part, it's the most painful thing because you're in a monogamous relationship. You're in a relationship where you're saying, I'm choosing you and you're choosing me, right? Ostensibly choosing, not, we're not actually choosing each other. We just chose each other once and now we're just trying to ride on that. And then to be met over and over again with this expectation of like, oh, I can be myself here. Oh shit, no, I was wrong. I can't. Every time I try to show my pain, every time try to show my hurt, I'm being met with so much resistance, with so much dissonance, with so much pushback, with so much defensiveness. Yes, granted, you didn't know how to go about it in the right way, and I didn't know how to go about it in the right way. But the underlying assumption or expectation or desire is that it should be that way. And we don't necessarily catch that we're not going about it in a way that's healthy or integrated or manageable. We're just like, I know what I want and I want it right now. And holy shit, what's going on? I got into this institution and now I'm stuck. But the very thing that I was craving and looking for that got me into this relationship in the first place, and that on some level I got signals that would be available to me here are now really not available. And so immediately there's just shame, there's loneliness, there's um, desperation, fear, right? And what's worse, and I think this is something that people really, really don't appreciate the fullness of what this is and how this causes so many issues in relationship, is that we get married and then we're in this like gilded prison. It's like I found the best person in the universe, the person who I love
Mm.
more than anyone else and who's going to love me more than anyone else. We don't need anyone else. We're good. We got this. All those other lovers, they're so stupid. They think they're in love. They have no fucking clue. We're the real lovers. We're the ones who are really in love. We're going to have the most perfect life and the best sex life and the best communication. And we're going to make our house the coziest. And we're going to make all the right decisions. And we're going to take such good care of each other. We're going to be the best parents. And we're going to make the cutest children. And they're going to have no issues and no challenges. But go into marriage with this illusion. And with that illusion, they basically lock themselves
Mhm.
up in this little castle together. And they're like, it's a palace basically, but it ends up becoming a prison. And they cut themselves off from the flow of information and the flow of care from other people. And especially in the beginning of marriage, this is very, very intense. And I would say, particularly in the observant world, with how young we get married and our culture and how we have very strict separation of the sexes till we get married, and how quickly we, typically how quick the dating process is, how quickly we get married, how quickly we get pregnant. So there's like this really, really intense, like initial bonding stage to the exclusion of the rest of the universe. And in that, it could become so, so isolating where it's like nobody can know what's really going on. Like, I don't want my parents to know what's going on. I don't want my siblings to know what's going on. I don't want my friends to know what's going on. It's so shame inducing. And now we're just alone here in this apartment. Nobody sees what's going on. It's sort of the mark of a marriage is that it's private and that it's intimate, especially when you get married right initially. You want to spend all time together. You don't want to have anyone else around, right? Shana Rishona, first year, let's shut everyone else out and to like be in our little cocoon together. And in that cocoon, it's really beautiful. Obviously, it's an opportunity to bond. But you know what else it's an opportunity for? For a tremendous amount of hiddenness, for a tremendous amount of shame, things that you're not willing to bring into the light, things that you're not willing to have seen by other people. And when it's not seen by other people, it can never really be addressed. And you start to carry it and you're carrying it on your own. And the man is thinking, oh shit, I made a massive mistake. I married the wrong girl. I know I felt that very, very early on in our marriage. And the woman's thinking and feeling the same thing. But we're just going to look so stupid. Like, are we that stupid? We're this in love. And yet on day 5, the whole world just seems like it's crumbling before our eyes and our relationship is crumbling before our eyes. Who are you going to go talk to about that? For people who haven't done inner work. And it's a catch 22 here because to say for people who haven't done inner work is like, don't get married unless you've done the inner work. You can't really do the inner work until you're married. You cannot really do the true depth of the inner work until you're in a committed relationship. I'm not saying you can't do work. I'm not saying you can't do therapy. I'm not saying you can't be self aware. But like the thing that the
Parts
inner
are only gonna
work,
come out in
yeah,
that
the inner
dynamic.
work that's required for marriage only gets triggered
Mhm,
in the locked setting of a marriage.
mhm.
the fears and insecurities of having gotten it that wrong with the person that you chose as an intimate partner and that you just celebrated a public marriage in front of all your friends and family to now be 5 days into it or even 5
Mhm.
weeks into it or 5 months or 5 years into it, and then to say, "You know what? No, I made a massive mistake," or maybe I didn't make a mistake. Maybe this is right, but there's something just absolutely wrong with me. There's something
Right.
inherently flawed about me. That's the most
Mm.
shame-inducing thing. So what everyone does is they hide it under the rug and they have some sex. They have right, just like some benefits, right? They're in it. I'm not mocking it. I'm not minimizing it. It's part and parcel of what an intimate relationship is, and an intimate relationship would never work. It wouldn't be an intimate relationship if it wasn't for those other aspects of comfort. But basically, people move toward the comfort to over, and they're bypassing some of the deeper work,
Well,
and it goes round and round.
totally. Yeah, there's so much here. Totally to everything. And it's like you get married, you have these ideas, like you're saying. As soon as you get married, you realize that you did not know what you were getting yourself into because you've never done anything like that in your entire life. Like you said, you maybe didn't even talk to a boy before or have a relationship with a boy. Now you're living together 24/7. It's a totally its own specific container. It's its own thing. There's nothing that can prepare you for it. Um, and now you're in it and you really, really want it to go well, like you're saying, whether to soothe your own shame that there's something wrong with you, whether to soothe the social, you know, you don't want to be seen like you're not happy, you don't want to get a divorce, like all the things that come along with it. So what happens is you you sort of like it's like you're in a little bit of like a minefield or whatever, and you're like, oh, if I step here, oh, this doesn't work. So you sort of like learn a little bit of this dance where it's like if I hide this part of myself, there's like some peace. Or if I just don't bring this up, then like, we can like kind of pretend. You find this pretend version of what you want.
Mm,
You you
mm.
you you want a happy marriage. It's not working. So you're like, what could I do to get it back? So each person totally silently, in their own, not even consciously even, is sort of like learning the ropes, learning how it is. They're walking this field for the first time. They're learning where the triggers are. And they're like, okay, don't step there. Okay. Okay. And then they find this little like sliver of happiness in between all of the mines that could go off any second if you step over there, if you step over there, if you look over there, if you talk about that thing, or if you touch that thing, or you touch that body part, or you, whatever it is, right? There's all these little things that could go off. And instead of like, I don't know what exactly the example is, instead of like arming up or instead of facing it head on or just like letting it explode and be like, all right, now we know where they are. Okay. Now there's nothing dangerous anymore because it's all out in the open. You're just upkeeping this delicate, delicate, delicate dynamic, or what you're calling a marriage, what you're calling a relationship. You're just upkeeping this such a delicate thing. And you might even think you're happy. You're like, yeah, no, we're okay. We're not really fighting. Like we're having sex. We go on date night and we go to dinner and it's fine. I don't ever bring up what's bothering me. I make sure to never get the expensive thing on the menu, or we have whatever the thing is that we do at every single thing on date night, in the home, at Shabbos meals, with family, whatever the things that we've recognized is what we do. And those are the happy couples, the people who have managed to find the clear path through the mines. Those are the people who just like, they're okay. They're happy. And there's like a sort of like sigh of relief, like, okay, we're good. I know we had that through so much of our relationship where I was like, no, we're in a good phase now, where things are so good, and partially they were. But there was just one step over there or one step over there, and then they weren't. And the amount of upkeep, I know personally, that it took to just not step out of line, for myself, not, it wasn't even conscious. It wasn't even like, I didn't even know it was happening because it was the same story that I had done my whole life. And in my home growing up, it was sort of like, adjust yourself to other people's issues, adjust yourself to other people's triggers. Don't be difficult. You know, it was just like a dance that I knew. So it was like, oh, this is life. This is life, I guess, you know? And then you have your kids and you kind of do that with them too. You're like, ooh, all right. Gets really upset when I do that. Okay, make sure the apples are cut this way. Like whatever it is, you're sort of continuing to just be like, and then I think what the healing process is and whatever, you know, that they summed up on one foot is like self. It's like having a self. You're like, oh my God, I'm an actual person. I'm not like this morph of like these indents where other people take up space. And I've sort of like morphed myself into this wacky figure that just morphs around all the people around me. I am an actual like human in the flesh and in the soul. And I actually exist. And I have things that I'm willing to do or not willing to do. And like I have this whole like this what boundaries are, right? Like boundaries aren't things that you like put on and you take on. Like we all have boundaries. You just as you heal, you recognize them, you acknowledge them, and you become friends with them. We all have boundaries. We literally do. And so some people are denying them, ignoring them, and then get angry when other people have them because they're like, I'm letting you walk all over me. Why are you, you know? And some people, and as we grow, we're like, no, actually, no. Like, I want to walk over here. And if there is a freaking trigger over here, I don't know what we're going to do about it, but I am no longer taking the long way around the room to get to where I want to go. I'm just going because I'm allowed to just do what I got to do, what I want to do. I'm a real person. And like, shit's going to blow up. And then, yeah. And then we'll just deal with it then. It was already like, it was just ticking. It was just like a ticking bomb the whole time. We all know it was there. You pretended it wasn't, but it was just there. It was just like, so yeah.
Mm. Yeah. So beautiful way you're describing it all. I love this idea of the minefield. It's so good. Because people are like, why did you have to introduce the bomb?
Yeah,
Why
exactly.
why do you gotta introduce the bomb into a relationship? It's like, honey, we're in a minefield. I didn't
Yeah.
introduce a bomb. It just went off because we touched the spot where it was buried.
I forgot to play my part for a second and like just relax. And I by
Yeah.
mistake bumped into it. 'Cause
Why
I
do you gotta
forgot
make things so
yeah.
difficult? I'm not making things difficult. They are difficult. I'm just giving voice to it. I'm bringing it into the relationship in a conscious way. Why do you gotta be so difficult? Why do you always gotta pick on the little things and make small things into big things? I'm not making anything into anything. It is what it is. I'm just willing to talk about it. I'm bringing it to you. I'm willing to admit it to myself.
Yeah, but I spent the last 15 years pretending they weren't here.
Yeah.
And you're going to start. I knew they were here the whole time, but I didn't talk about them.
How dare
You're
you?
going to talk about them? I had the decency to like look at all your bombs and pretend they weren't there. And you're going to come look at mine? Like, are you kidding me? It's not how, this is not respectful.
Yeah. We had an agreement.
Yeah.
It's the silent contract.
Yeah.
Right? These are these silent contracts that we write and we seal them in blood. And by the way, most of these contracts are pretty much created within like the first couple of weeks, months of marriage.
On the first date, honestly, of the person that you end up with, it's sort of like you make a lock in with their soul. And you know,
Yeah, I see that. I feel that.
it's like
right
away, you're like, oh yeah, okay, you're gonna balance me out here. I'm gonna balance you out. If you continue dating them, you're like, there's like your subconscious and your body and all the things, not necessarily you're like what your
Yes, your
thoughts
soul
are,
sees it basically.
is literally like mapping out. Like, all right, is this gonna be safe? Is this part like you're sort of like, oh, but he's ashamed about that. I'm ashamed about this. Well, like, it'll work together. You know, all this stuff.
Totally.
I think that a minefield is also so good. Thinking about it now because what is a bomb? It's like, could be death. And like, that is kind of what it feels like in these relationships. It feels like you're going to die. The relationship is going to die. It really feels like, no. Like, okay, yeah, I'm contorting myself, but like, otherwise a bomb's going to go off. You know, it's like, so yeah, I'll do what I got to do because I don't want to die. Like, that's how it feels like death to go to these painful, loaded areas, whether it's your shame, your partner's shame, or what, it just feels like death. And it's because you never did it before, your parents didn't do it for you, it wasn't a fertile ground for tough conversations, for pain, and realizing that that doesn't mean death. not liking something about your spouse, like, is totally okay. But if we don't know that, and we're like, I don't know what to do. Like, I married this person, but like, I don't love every single thing about them every single second, and they can never find out, except they're gonna know.
I love that. They're never gonna find out, except they're gonna know. There's no such thing as not
Yeah.
finding out. Like, if it's in your chest, it's in the energy field of the relationship.
Mhm.
And yeah, our hearts reflect one another. What it is that I'm caring about you, you're going to feel it and you're going to know it. And typically you're going to reflect it back to me in one way or another. In one way or another, meaning the reflection might not be, I think you're an idiot, so you're going to think I'm an idiot. But the reflection might be, I think you're an idiot, so you feel like an idiot and you start acting like an idiot, or you feel like an idiot around me. There's no way that my thoughts and feelings are not being absorbed by your psyche, your body.
Mhm.
But yeah, we try to construct these basically um, this false self. We project out a false self. And actually, the entire journey of marriage, the entire journey of an intimate relationship, which is to say the entire journey of life, just to say the
Mm.
entire journey of the creation of the world,
Which is to say, keep going.
which is to say the cosmic fuckery of it all,
Mhm.
is to, I don't even know what I was going to say.
Mm.
I think it was just to discover self. It was much deeper than that.
Mm.
It was going to be so good, babe.
You said I should make fun of you more. What were you saying?
Well, there's nothing that you have inside that's not going to then be felt by your partner. It's going to be reflected back one way or another.
Mm.
And then I said, oh, which then is the entire point of everything, of every relationship, is basically to move toward truth.
Mm.
So we start out with this identity that we're married to. And then to actually get married, what it takes to have a real marriage, like a true marriage, a true relationship, actually means you have to divorce yourself of this false persona. But the only way to get married, not the only way, but the way that most people get married is actually with a great grand celebration of the false persona.
Mhm.
It's like, oh my God, she really sees me. She doesn't see shit. She doesn't know who you are. You don't know who you are. Like,
And
it's,
she's loving, and she loves to cook,
we
and she this,
both
like,
like
you
the
know,
same food and we listen to the same music.
you were just born. Like,
Wait, I don't get it.
I'm saying you were just born. You're 20 years old. Like, I'm saying, like,
Totally.
this
Yeah.
isn't like you haven't written your
And
story
even if
yet.
you're 45, you're
Yeah.
just born into a relationship. So it's like you have this identity and you're married to it, but the whole process of a marriage, which again is like the whole process of life, is to actually strip yourself of all the illusions, or to be stripped of all illusions, to come face to face with the self, which is another way of saying the divine, our God,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
so it really requires an intimate relationship to really disavow us, or to just remove us from all falsehood.
So good. So good. Like, have our identities, have our and you need them to get married because and then only once you're married can you kind of strip them away and come to so basically what's happening is two identities are marrying each other. And now in the marriage, in the container of marriage, they are going to strip away and slip away from that, and their essence are going to connect and be married. And there's going to be married of two essences versus two identities. But the only way you can have that essence connection is in a marriage. So you can't date in your essence because it's only a marriage thing. So you have to have the identities. Those are the clothing for the essence, and they need to be there. They are the part that gets you till the marriage.
Yes.
They are very, very necessary. And then once you are married, the job is to now begin to let go of them, release them one by
Decompose,
one, um, or like
disintegrate.
undress, if you will, layer by layer of this identity till you get to the essence, and the essence it can't connect. It's not like, you know, turns out your identity and my identity, like they're not our truth. So now we got to do the work because like we're not healthy enough. It's like, no, this the way it goes is that
Right.
you have your identities.
Yeah.
They are what takes you. And once you are married, now the job is to not how to stay happily married, right? Which
Mhm.
implies that you have something that is working. It was working. It worked for bar. It worked when we were dating. Oh, yeah, because that's when it was appropriate. But now you've entered this, you've stepped it over the,
Threshold.
threshold into something completely new. And whoever you were as engaged, those are not, now you are in a marriage container. And in here, something different happens. And it's not, what happens here is not to keep the spark alive from when you were dating. It's not to like maintain the relationship. What happens here is like you're born again.
Yeah.
It's a totally new thing that you are now entering. And it's time to learn, time to grow, time to be awake, be
Yeah.
alive. It's time to like open your eyes and grow. It's not time to hold on to the engaged version of you and be like, we were so in love and we like every single thing in the same color and we both love tacos. Like that's so beautiful and you should like love on that and treasure that. And it's a beautiful, treacherous um thing, and it's romance and it's love, and it's not like, oh, that was not real and now no, that was that. And now we're here and this is going to be this. And the same thing when it comes to parenting or whatever it is, you step over that. It's like it's a new thing. You're now stepping into a role as a father or mother you never were before. You have to learn. You have to grow. You have to, yeah.
You were saying you're born again, and I was thinking how, yeah, like your first birth is a physical birth. You're being born
Mm.
physically into the world, and the birth that you're speaking about now is really consciousness. It's awakening, actually waking up into yourself. So, yeah, being reborn, but it's not a physical birth. It's a spiritual birth. It's an awakening of consciousness.
And I think when we get married, and I don't know, it'd be really interesting to learn about this and like in like, Judaism, mysticism, Kabbalah, or even what we actually say under the chuppah. Like, I don't know if there's any like, deeper. I would love to learn, deeper into this, but like, I feel like it's like we're basically signing a contract that we're like going to be entering this portal of a new type of way of being that can only happen in a marriage. It's like new type, and a person who's not married, there's their own work that they're doing then as who they are. But when you step into this portal, the portal of marriage, you're signing a contract that you have infinite more powers. It's a totally new type of thing that you are entering into, where it's like it's not like two single people getting together and like sharing a room, and like it's this really like this powerful entity that in this place, things can unfold that are impossible to unfold other places. You know, um, Healing can happen. I don't even know. I don't have the words, but I feel it energetically. It's like this place that it's like this magical place that you are now entering, which is just like you are gifted certain things that only come when a man and a woman, when a marriage come together, and with what Hashem wanted and what's made possible, and it requires both really surrendering and letting go of identity and story and judgment and shame. It requires so much, but yet also like having a self, meaning the mission isn't you become its own entity, right? Like now you're a marriage. It's like it's all of it together. It's like you have to still have you and the other person, and then there's like all of the magic in there as well.
Yeah, totally. The magic that you're talking about, as you said it, and you were swirling your hands, I was thinking that the magic is that when I have a self, and therefore I can honor that you have a self, and you have a self, and therefore you can honor that I have a self. That's that third entity. That's the magic. It's
Right.
like, it's not there's me, you, and then this third institution called marriage. And what is that? It's the rules of monogamy. That's the institution of marriage. No. the protective shield, the force field of this infinite looping, or maybe it's infinitely potentiating energy, is that I have a self, and I honor myself. And because I do, I therefore allow you to have a self and honor yourself. And you do that for me. And that's infinite. That just keeps on going.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The figure eight.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, but I think that if people were to understand marriage differently or know that when they were entering marriage, understand it a little bit, not understand marriage, but understand what they're stepping into and expect, you know, massive expansion, expect
Mm,
shedding of layers, expect all this stuff, right? If you're going into, you're not going into whatever it is, a new career, I was thinking you're not going into, Gaza, you're not going into unprepared, you know? You're prepared. You have your supplies, you have your support, you have your commander, or you have your boss or the CEO of the company, right? You're not going into the first day of the job running the place. You have your support, you take it seriously. You're like, wow, I'm entering a mission, basically like entering a mission. And so you should have your whatever it is,
supply lines, your coach, your
yeah,
trainer, your
your therapist, or like maybe it's coming from parents to be like checking in on their kids, obviously like not getting meddled and involved, but just being like, I'm here. Like, just so you know, like it might be really hard. And in fact, like if it's not really hard, maybe you're avoiding the minefield, like
love that.
just
Yeah.
like,
Oh, honey, how's your marriage? Really
yeah,
good. Oh,
yeah, yeah,
I'm really
just like,
concerned about you.
yeah, like just, I don't have the answer of what it is. I don't have the answer. Like, this is how we, you know, send people off into marriage prepared. I think the nature of it, you're not really prepared, but it's like you're prepared to be unprepared. And you're
No,
also,
but as you're saying it,
eh,
it really is odd. Like in the context of what you're saying, it's super strange that the one thing that has the most import, the one thing that really is the most essential, most important thing, is the fabric of society, the fabric of the universe,
mhm,
the thing that continues the human species.
mhm,
There is the least amount of education and training
mhm,
for.
mhm,
Why? Doesn't make any sense. But actually, it does. There's just an assumption because it's so foundational, because it's so essential.
mhm,
The assumption is you know how to do it. And even though that assumption is false, in actuality,
right?
it's based in truth, which is that where should a person learn how to be married?
In the marriage,
Yeah. Should they go to a course? Should they go to a rabbi? Should they
in
go
their
to
home,
a
in their
priest?
parents' marriage.
Yeah. Should they go to, chassan classes, as they call it, like bride classes and groom classes? Maybe additionally, but that's never ever going to get anyone to what it really takes, the foundational principles, the foundational embodiment of what it takes to be in a healthy, integrated, intimate relationship. Where we are supposed to learn it from is our homes. We're supposed to learn it from watching our parents. We're supposed to learn it, first of all, by embodying it. I mean, by
Mhm,
absorbing it, excuse me, in our
mhm,
home, because we actually see a loving, intimate, safe relationship. But then our parents can actually also give transmission. They can also teach. And then when we're growing up with our siblings and there are fights and there are arguments and somebody's upset at somebody else, and watching and learning how our parents navigate that, first and foremost among themselves, but then also how they guide us as siblings, right? That's really where the foundation should be. It shouldn't be from classes. It shouldn't be from a course. It shouldn't be from a book. It's just that
but
our
nobody's getting it right. So,
because things are so broken and because of so much trauma and because of so much disenfranchisement and because of so much disconnection from self and from other. But the assumption, in other words, people have shame around learning the most basic things. That's most so basic. What do you mean? I don't need to go to
mm,
premarital counseling. Why do I need to go premarital counseling? I love this guy.
yeah.
He loves me. We're going to do better than everyone else. To suggest that we need to go to marriage counseling, actually, I know a guy who was engaged
Mhm.
and he broke off his engagement. Why?
She suggested They go to
She
counseling.
asked that they should go to to relationship
Drinking.
counseling before the marriage. And by the way, I get it. Of course, nobody wants to enter into a relationship
Already trying to fix
already trying to
it.
fix it. I
Mhm.
totally get it. And I'm sure it was he saw it as a red flag. And you know what? Maybe it actually was a red flag. And even if it wasn't, if it was a red flag for his system, it's fine that he didn't go into it.
My gosh, it's funny, I'm having, like, a different awareness of it where it's that maybe there needs to be a level of delusion to enter this thing, meaning, it's like the romance and the falling in love and the dream of happily ever after is the only reason someone would enter this
That's how
portal
God tricks us into
of
marriage.
healing
Yeah.
and uncovering your every trigger and your every flaw
No one would ever do it.
and your every deepest pain. I mean, why would anyone enter it? People would just be like single forever and just like
Yeah.
so basically it's how it's supposed to be, which is that you fall in love. It's magical if you're lucky. You have a beautiful wedding. Everybody sends you off with smiles and then you're in it. And once you're in it, then you're already in it. So
Right. And there's so
maybe
much shame to
chances
get
are
out of
you'll
it.
stay in it. Maybe you won't, but um, I guess it's harder to get people married if you're really preparing them for just the level of
Actually,
um,
I totally hear what you're saying. And the way that you just explained it is how I often explain it to clients. And I get like very colorful and when I paint
mm,
that picture because I've come to that and I realize it and I see it and I believe it to be absolutely 100% true. But actually, if it was really being taught in a way from people who really know, meaning people who've experienced it from the inside out, then it's being taught in its totality. It's being taught in its
then
holistic
it is appealing.
frame. It's so appealing
Right.
because it's not pain. It's
Right.
actually pleasure. It's pain and it's pleasure. But the pain is the pleasure, meaning it's not that, by the way, you could have a really, really, really good marriage, but along the way to the good marriage, there's going to have to be all this really shitty stuff that you're going to have to go through. But don't worry, eventually, like 20 years in, 30 years in, you're going to get there. You're going to figure it out. And
Mhm.
hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars of therapy and healing work later, you guys will eventually be able to
And
have
near
some sex.
divorces.
And by that point, you already have, erectile dysfunction and
Mm.
you can't keep it up in bed. But don't worry, you'll get there and it'll be beautiful. No,
Mm.
of course, no one's going to go into it. But that's not the explanation. The explanation isn't that there's some really necessary evil on the path to some greater good. It's that the whole entire purpose of marriage, which is the ultimate purpose of the creation of the world, is to bring correction. So, like you said, if people were to be taught that going into, if they were understanding, you're about to go into the greatest
Mhm.
initiation of your life, you're entering into a portal, you are stepping into fires, but you're not doing it to prove something. You're not doing it so that you can get to the other side and get rewarded for it. This is the journey. This is life. This is what a relationship is. You are forged by the fire. You grow through the fire.
Mm.
And this thing that you think is going to burn you, you have so much fear because you think it's going to consume you. So you set up all your defenses to protect yourself. Turns out actually the fire, it gives you, charges your body with all this powerful holy energy. And it can be channeled and utilized and to actually create something totally new in the universe that never was and never existed before. If you understand that this isn't you being tortured, it's not, you're not being punished. Like I thought when we got
Mhm.
married, I, I,
Mhm.
I thought I was being punished. I thought I had done something so horribly wrong that I'm like, this is who I married. Like after all my waiting and all my discipline and all the girls I had dated, I get married and this is who I'm married to. Clearly I'm being punished. And
Mhm.
I had my theories as to what I was being punished for. But it's like, no, oh my God. And I remember wavering between it. I'm like, is this like my lowest possible soulmate? And then at a certain point, I actually thought that. I actually did feel, even when things were technically good in our marriage, there were parts of me that had doubts and was thinking like, wow, like it is what it is. Fine. I have to own my mistakes and I'm living with my lowest possible soulmate. But as I did the work, I realized actually I'm married to my highest possible soulmate, somebody who was not willing to tolerate bullshit, somebody who was not willing to just accept my the ways that I was treating her and essentially demanded that I be something so much more, which is who I really was. But I wasn't going to get there if somebody wasn't giving me an honest mirror. So your level of honesty went from being, ouch, 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 this hurts so much. What's your fucking problem? You're ruining my life, to thank you so much. Thank you. You saved my life.